Hey.
Hello.
So, can we get a toast? Toast to new growth.
Toast to new growth.
And Mom-Daughter Day at the winery.
Hello, everyone.
So, we are at the Galileo winery out here in Ontario. Hey, Jade. This is the New Growth IG Live Series Winery Edition. You know, I've been doing live with people close to me and just making sure I show you guys my relationships that I have and having natural, organic conversations. So this one is super special to me because it's with my mom and we're spending the day together out here and we're at the beautiful winery. We put our own little wine tour together. We went from the San Antonio one to now we're at the Galileo, and who knows where we'll end up next. Hi. Yes. Hey, LaShawn. I hope y'all got y'all wines. This is what I meant with getting your glasses of wine, because we are at the winery edition. Okay, so let's just get into it. This is my mom, Liza Smith.
Hi, everyone.
And she is someone just super. Hey, Jessica. Okay, I'm gonna get into it. Sorry. She is someone near, deep, special to me. I mean, the person that I am, the woman that I am today is because of this woman right here. And I just want you guys to just see our relationship, see our vibe, and just, you know, get some insights from her, because New Growth, the book, is going to tap into a lot of things based off of our relationship, based off the things that we've went through. So, yeah. So, Mom, introduce yourself. Let the people know, you know, about you. You know, what's the vibe?
Well, hello, everyone. You guys know me. I'm Liza, Sade's mom. I'm a mother of two. I have a younger daughter by the name of Sierra, 17. And would you want me to just kind of talk about my career?
Yeah.
And just everything
that is Liza Smith.
Okay.
Outside of being a mother. Because,
okay.
You know, sometimes mothers make that the identity. But, you know, it's about who is Liza Smith.
And you're right, because for a long time, I think that was my identity.
Yeah. I mean, but that's that. I feel like that's natural. Because I would say, like, oh, hey, I'm Sade. I'm a braider. I'm this and that. But it's like, okay, no, who are you? I mean, but it's kind of weird to say, hey, I'm courageous, I'm passionate, I'm this. But, you know, whatever that looks like. You know,
right. Well, career-wise, I was previously in radio advertising. And I spent 20 plus years in radio advertising. And then after that, I transitioned into HR. So now I'm currently in HR and healthcare, the healthcare field in HR.
Hey, Craig.
And just, you know, pretty much just kind of, you know, trying to grow and flourish within the healthcare HR industry, as well as, you know, really kind of finding my passion and things that I would like to do moving forward, and my career goals moving forward in life. You know, just really trying to carve out who I am now. You know, as a woman, after raising your children and setting your daughters up in life, you know, my girls up in life, now it's time for me to focus on the direction I want to go in life. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yes.
And just enjoying the process.
Yeah. No, that's what it's all about. I mean, I think that's where we all stand right now. Like, everybody's trying to figure it out, especially after COVID. It's like, all right, where do we kind of go from, you know, go from here? Like, do we go outside? Do we not? You know, do we have 10 people at the house, or do we have 2? You know, are my friends that were my friends back then the same friend group that I have now? Because the perspective changed after being in a house and stuff. Like, you know, I mean, I never really like quarantined, because I still was like, the type of job that I have, like, I still was like interactive, but perspective wise, I feel like I've grown so much. A lot of things that were super like exciting to me before COVID aren't really as exciting to me now. Like, I value time different. Like, you know, even when it comes to work, I'm like, well, I'm okay with taking a few days off and going on vacation, you know, not to be irresponsible, but just because
you see
I
the
know,
value.
Yeah, like you can't get your time back.
Yeah.
So that's my perspective.
Yeah, and I was just telling my staff just the other day that it's so important to take your PTO time, to take that time, because it's your time.
What's PTO?
Paid time off.
Oh, got you.
So, you know, that's for people that have 9 to 5.
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't been in the system for a long time. I don't know what that is.
So I was telling the staff how important it is to take your PTO time, your self-care, travel. Even if you don't travel, just take your self-care time and take care of your mental space.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah. So the book is titled New Growth. I want to ask you, Mom, what does the title New Growth, outside of knowing where I'm coming from with it, when you hear New Growth, like, what is that? What comes to mind for you?
What comes to mind for me when I think about new growth is transition. That you have transitioned from then to now.
Yeah.
From where you were to where you are now. And you have grown through the process.
Yeah. What does it mean for you, though?
What it means for me, pretty much the same. Is that I have grown through whatever process or whatever stage in life that I was in. I've grown and I've transitioned from that process. So I'm in a new space. I'm in a new stage of life. I see things different.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what it means to me. It means an overall growth of life. You know, overall.
Yeah.
Everything. In all areas.
In all areas. Yeah. Yeah. I was telling you earlier that, like, my goal for the book, like, my last finishing statement, like the stamp at the end of the book, is wellness is a priority, luxury is a priority, you know, bringing in a new norm. And that's what I mean, if you think about, like, the double entendre when it comes to the title New Growth, like, when you have new growth as far as your hair, that's the new norm for your hair. Like, you know, like, this is whatever style you're gonna create, like, that's the new norm. Like, that hair is not going anywhere unless you cut it off, of course. But, you know, like, that's the new norm. So now, if you want to continue to grow your hair in that natural state, these are the things that you have to do for your hair to continue to stay strong, organic, you know, all the things that exude new growth.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to take a toast before I ask this next question. So we have a flute. What you feel?
I'll do this one.
Okay. Are you? Do you want red?
Oh, I like this one.
Okay. So I want to make a toast to womanhood.
Okay.
Toast to womanhood. So, going from childhood to womanhood, what would you describe that transition as? Or what space, like, was you in?
For me personally?
This is all you personally.
Okay. I would say for me, going from childhood to womanhood, where I am today, was mainly figuring out who I am, figuring out what I like, what I'm passionate about. Because for me, I didn't grow up with having, you know, my mom in my life, so I didn't really have those areas of discovery.
Yeah.
Within myself as a woman and as a person. I pretty much had to kind of grow up really fast, and I kind of went through life as survival.
Yeah. Oh, I want to pause you right there because you said something, like, I think is, do you think that growing up with discovery is a privilege?
With discovery, I would not say it's a privilege, but I would say it's a blessing. Because when you grow up with discovery, and when you grow up with being influenced or exposed, it helps you see the world differently.
Yeah.
You don't grow up seeing the world as being in the world as survival mode. You grow up as being a part of the world. You grow up with a sense of I belong in the world. You know, I'm a part of the world.
Versus survival mode.
I'm surviving.
And when you're in survival mode, does that mean you're outside of the world? Like it's a circle and you're like on the outside?
It feels like that. It can feel like that. It can feel like that. It can feel like you don't really quite know where you fit. You don't really quite know where you belong yet in the world because you really haven't had much stability or direction to really know where you fit in the world. So you're kind of surviving.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And if you don't get a hold of that, you can go through your whole entire life in survival mode.
Yeah. At what point did you recognize that, hey, I'm going through survival mode? Because I'm sure, like, as a young woman, and you know, my grandmother, your mother, being on drugs and not being there, then you get to a point of like independence. Like, what was that moment you was like, ooh, I'm in survival mode?
When I left Sahara's dad, my last relationship, it was a long-term relationship. When I finally got to the place that I was okay, you know, I was okay no longer being in a relationship. I feel like I was strong enough and I had the necessary tools to emotionally be done. As I was healing and going through that process, I realized that I had been living in survival mode all my life. That I never really lived. I had been living in survival mode all that time.
Does that feel like a blur? Like, you know, like, because at that moment it's like you kind of woke up, like, you know, so does that mean beforehand, like, everything was a blur? I mean, I'm sure there were some memorable moments, but like, did you ever feel like,
it doesn't feel like a blur
now? Like,
it doesn't feel like a blur, but it just feels like I was just existing. I wasn't living. Now I feel like I'm living. I'm living now. You know what I mean? Like every minute of the day I can account for now. I don't care if I'm just sitting in the park looking at trees. Every minute of my day I can account for it now because I'm actually living.
It's like
in
you're
the moment.
now intentional now. It's like
everything
you're looking at the trees different. It's like, okay, I see the trees, the leaves is, but it's like you're looking at it like, okay, that's what life is. You know, you water the plants and you see the plants slowly growing, or you start to notice like different things, like, I don't know, like, I feel like once
you're
I got
intentional.
when I got to that's a certain space, I'm like, oh, the birds is chirping louder. Like,
because you learn to be present. You know?
Right.
When you learn to be present, you start to see life differently. You interact with people different. You don't interact in a space of neediness. You don't interact in a space of belonging. You don't interact in a space of codependency any longer. You actually start living in a space of I'm just present and I'm intentional about these relationships that I have in my life right now. And intentional with myself. No, I love that. And I love that you brought up codependency, because like for me, going through a transition of like healing on the next level, like doing soul work, I was like I've always heard about codependency. Like you've mentioned codependency just as a buzzword in the home, like, you know, you just talked about it before, so I've heard about it, but like it wasn't until I started like really going through that journey where I realized like, oh dang, I was codependent here, and I was feeling like this, that's codependency, or like self-sabotaging, and like I feel like all that is like a big gumbo of like not really fully being healed. So in what ways would you say like codependent, or what origin of your life, like, would you say codependency like started, or like what did that look like for you, codependency? People pleasing.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I was a people pleaser all my life because I was afraid of losing people. I was afraid of losing. So I wanted to hold on to everyone that was in my life, every relationship, because I felt like I needed that village, rather it was negative or positive,
Yeah. No, I can relate to that when it came to dating. And like I said, once I got to that place before my relationship, like, so there was a gap. Like, it was pre-healing, spiritual advisor, therapy time, and then Sade fully stepping into that in that moment, and then relationship. But pre all of that, I was in that space of like not letting go. So like any exes that will like call my phone or feel like they still got a hold to me because I'm that down as, or I'm like always there or accessible and all that stuff. Like, I started to have to ask myself, like, dang, it's always me picking up whenever, and once we stop hanging or once we get off the phone, like, I know the energy that's been transferred, like, they're feeling good, they, got a smile on their face. And I don't mean like sexual, like, I just mean like just it's people just in your,
it's a transfer of energy.
Yeah, people that just are in your space. And I got to the point like, dang, once I hang up this phone, why am I feeling so drained? And I know they feeling cool because they like, yeah, I'm gonna call you back. Like, all right. Like,
and you don't hear from them.
And you don't hear from them until they ready to recharge.
Exactly. And they good.
Yeah.
And you sitting there like, well,
yes, I was feeling like the charger station or the gas
like
station.
The trash can.
Yeah. So.
And your whole mood, your whole energy then shifted.
Right. And then when you call, when you need that recharge, it's like they answer when they want to answer. But they always feel like you're going to be around. So it's like, dang, I had to ask myself, and I'm sure you did too, like, well, why do I feel like the need to be committed to whatever that is on that side and not committed to, shrinking in my access? Like, because obviously it's not feeding my energy or feeding my soul when I'm around these people or I give these people access. And that's with friendships, relationships, all that. Like, it's not even just about dating. That's just the most easier example because, relationships is a hot topic. So after going through this realization, you realize, okay, dang, I've been in survivor mode. Now I'm living. Like, where are you today?
That's a good question.
Cause that's a difference. Like, hey, I've been in survivor mode, not really understanding it. Now I realize I'm in survivor mode. I was in survival mode. Now I'm present, but like, there's a commitment that needs to happen after that. So like, I know as your daughter you've been committed to that, but like, where are you today?
I would say where I am today is I am in a place of honestly just overall peace. Yeah, I feel like I'm in a place of overall peace. I feel like I have different areas of growth in my life. Right now I'm a mom that's almost an empty nester. So I am transitioning my life into that area, into what that's gonna look like after becoming an empty nester. Career wise, flourishing in that area, HR wise. Me as a woman, my dating life, I'm just kind of enjoying dating, enjoying meeting new people, getting to know people and seeing, where it kind of goes relationship wise. So honestly, Sade, to be very honest with you, I would just say overall, I just have peace. I feel like I have peace in all areas of my life.
Do you think like turning 50, and you look great, by the way, of course.
Thank you, girl.
Turning 50 in June, like, did that give you some type of like an aha moment realization to that, to where peace like my interpretation of peace is like, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna force nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. Like, you rock with me or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love you, or like, it's just
right.
like, I don't
and
got
that's
time.
exactly where I'm at. Like, I don't
Yeah.
force any relationships. I don't force friendships. I don't force relationships. I don't force anything
Yeah.
in my life, anymore. I just try to, wherever I'm at, I just try to show up and be present in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And if that environment doesn't feel right to me, or if it doesn't feel good to me, or if it's not the right environment for me, I don't put myself in that environment anymore.
Yeah.
I'm no longer in a space of people pleasing.
Right.
I'm not in that space anymore.
When you get to that like realization, like, I'm not people pleasing no more, don't you feel like, what the hell was I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was out of my mind to
Mm-hmm.
think that, and I talk about this in the book too. Like, what?
It comes from not really knowing your place in life, and
Yeah.
not knowing where you are and who you are. Yeah. So you're trying to find yourself in all these people.
Yeah.
Because you really haven't figured out who you were yet.
Yeah.
Who you are yet.
Yeah.
And having people in your life sometimes can be a sense of comfort.
Right.
Until you become okay and comfort within self.
Yeah.
When you become comfortable and you comfortable with self and you love self,
mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter if you have 2 people around you, 1 person around you, or 1,000.
Yeah.
It's not about people anymore. Now it's about you. Who is Sade?
Right. Remember, I remember you telling me this as a kid, but I'm sure you heard it as a kid, because, especially in the black community, like, we hear stuff and we, like, bring it down. But, like, I remember you saying, like, when you grow older, like, a lot of those friends that you had
mm-hmm.
when you was younger, would probably not be your same friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't coming from a place of negativity. It was just, like, a reality, or just, like, a place of, like, be okay with the unknown
mm-hmm.
of that.
Yeah.
Don't be so attached to people. Like, you can have relationships and bonds with people, but if you guys go your separate way, and it doesn't mean beef, if you guys go your separate way, that's just what life is. It's a part of evolution. Like, and then you may come back. Or
and that happens all the time.
Whatever. Yeah.
That happens all the time. You may have relationships with friends in high school, and throughout college, you guys are best friends in your 20s, but then you start getting in relationships, someone has a child, mm-hmm. and then your lives just start not being in line anymore. Yeah. It doesn't mean I don't love you or you don't love me. It's just that our lives are not in line. Yeah. So therefore, what you do on the weekend is not in line with what I do on the weekend.
Yeah.
What your life looks like after 5 is not what my life looks like after 5.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're kind of like passing through the night.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we don't still have a great relationship.
Yeah.
It's just that our lives are not in sync anymore. And then sometimes, even when that happens, you may lose contact with a friend for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And then you see him again a couple of years later. And then now you guys pick up like you just saw the person yesterday.
Right.
So to me, that just life just happens. You know, some friends you do keep throughout your journey and throughout your whole different stages of life. And then sometimes you don't. And you come back together later.
Yeah. I think a lot of people be scared. I mean, for me, I know with my friendships, like, I never want to rock the boat
mm-hmm.
with things. And I have in my book like a chart. I forget which chapter, but y'all will see. I have a chart to where it's like letting go of old behaviors. It's owning new emotions mm-hmm. is the chapter. And so I have on one, so it's 3 columns. One says 4 columns. One is like, what was this old behavior? Pretty much behavior or way of thinking. And then it goes into like, why do you feel like this behavior occurs? That could be like escape, it's an automatic, it's tangible, or it's I'm so sorry, I forgot the last one. And then the third column is basically like, what do you think the reason for that old behavior is? And then the fourth column is, what is the replacement behavior for that? So my example that I have for that is my old behavior was not being able to have negative conversations, or like conversations about like when things go bad. Like, you know, it's a part of life. So that was my old emotion behavior, not being okay with having negative conversations. The reason why that occurred is like an escape. Like, that's the function, because I was trying to escape that, because being a people pleaser, you want to make sure everybody views you, you know, a positive way, and you're scared to like rock the boat when you do feel some type of way. It's like you don't want to risk them, you know, stepping away from you or not understanding you.
You're afraid of people not liking you.
Yeah, exactly. Not liking me. Then the third column, so the reason was that more so, and anxiety, and all of that like came about as far as that being afraid to have those negative emotions. So my replacement behavior is just remembering that it's okay to sorry, can y'all hear us? It's okay to have a discussion and say, hey, I'm scared of this. I'm scared to lose you, you know, whether that's a relationship or a friendship. Hey, I'm scared we not gonna be cool no more, but I gotta say this. Like, so it's just addressing it in a realistic way. So,
well, I think that ties into not being afraid of conflict.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times we be afraid of conflict because we don't want to hear anything negative about ourselves.
Right.
You know, we don't want that negative energy.
Right.
You know, but sometimes outside of negative energy or outside of conflict births a beautiful relationship.
Yes, and that's something, you know, that
so
I had to learn.
Yeah, sometimes you have to have that, because I'm sure you've had some relationships to where it's like after you had that hard conversation, now it's like we have the best relationship ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you say that just made me think I've had serious relationships, but I never, like, it got to the point where, like, with my past relationship, like, I didn't let it get to that point. Like, when the conflict happened, it was like peace. And that's because I was still in that state of mind. And I mean, I feel like essentially, like, it wasn't the relationship for me. It wasn't, you know, meant for me. It was just something I had to go through. But then being in this relationship, it's like, I know what this is. I knew the woman that I was before stepping into this. I know where this is going. Well, I believe where this is going. I want to put in the effort for this. So having those hard conversations, because if this is someone that's going to be my husband and that I feel like is going to be that, then it's one thing to know something. It's another thing to practice something actively.
Yeah.
And that was a challenge. Not challenge as in hard, but it was something that I had to, like, do. Yeah. It was something I had to practice and make sure that, and I love that he gave me the affirmation to do that. Like, I've came to him sometimes where I'm like timid and like shaking, like, so babe, I feel like I didn't like when you did this, I didn't like when you did that. And, you know, he's like, you don't have to be scared to have this conversation. And I'm like, well, I usually am. But
well, that comes from too also surrounding yourself with people that make you feel like you don't have a voice, you know. Right.
And I brought that up on Sierra, the lady the woman who helped me publish my book. We talked about it, and I brought up the fact that when you guys first met, my boyfriend and my mom, we all went to brunch, and you asked him, like, do you see her? And I knew where you was coming from with that. He eventually knew, but it was just such a intentional question. Like, it seemed light, but it was so intentional. And I know you asked that because you know me, like, and you know what I need, you know, to see you. Do you feel like in hindsight, like if you had it your way, you, your mom, and let's just say Spencer, because that's Sahara's dad. Sorry to name drop. If Sahara's dad had a brunch, would you have wished Granny asked him that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I totally feel like if I had someone in my life that, or if I had a stronger village in my life, I feel like I would not have experienced some of the things that I did alone. Because I just feel like when you have a village behind you, sometimes when you're like in a relationship with someone, they kind of feel like they can kind of poke you and they can kind of treat you kind of anywhere because you don't really have a village.
Got you.
So yeah, I do.
So that's kind of like when we see in the movies, like men kind of narcissistic men start dating women that they know don't really have that village, and they like move them out the city or isolate them. Right. So that's like a red flag. So it's like they know, usually know what they're doing. Yeah. So narcissistic. I mean, we were talking about Neo and his situation, and just everything that they're going through. Crystal highlighted the fact that, you know, Neo's a narcissist, and, you know, you shared with me, I mean, my first knowledge of a narcissist is everything that you explained to me about him.
Right.
What would you say for the people that are watching and that are dating, what are like the top signs of a narcissist?
The top signs I would say I've experienced is, and I've seen to be kind of a trend, is definitely love bombing. That's a huge red flag. When you meet someone and already early in the early stages, you meet someone in like the first 30 days and they confessing they love to you, or they want to, you know, they almost want to marry you. Yeah. You know, within 30 days. It's like, how? You don't even know me. Yeah. Do you even know what color I like? You know, do you know what elementary school I attended? You know what I mean? So it's like that's like a huge flag. I also feel like, you know, isolation is another, you know, red flag. And, you know, and pretty much I would say kind of treating you like you don't have a voice, you know, is, you know, and mental bullying, you know, I would say is a red flag. Yeah. And kind of like emotional abuse and emotional bullying. Yeah. And that's kind of like making, like when you address something like, hey, these are my feelings, something that you did, you know, you talking to your man, or I feel like women can be a narcissist too. So it's like you come into your partner and you're having this conversation, but then they make you feel like you wrong, or make you question the reason why you feel those feelings. Like, right. Yeah. Would you say that? Yeah. Yeah. So, like, why do you think that a lot of people confuse someone that's narcissistic and just arrogant? Because I feel like these days people kind of just throw that out there, like, oh, they're narcissists, but they're like just arrogant. Well, if you actually do your research on it, if you really study the difference, being a narcissist is a chemical dependency. You know, that's a personality disorder. Being arrogant, that's just like a confidence thing. Yeah. You can pretty much usually tell the difference between someone that is arrogant, highly confident, or if they have a personality disorder. Yeah. And it's like, I know you know these terms and all these experiences because obviously you're experienced, but it's like when we talked about earlier, like how you have this like dream career, or like this guilty pleasure of something that you want to do but no one really knows that you want to do. And we've talked about it before, like, you know, you feeling like because of your experience, everything that you've gone through, everything that you've seen, that they're like being a marriage family therapist is like
kind of one of those things that like people don't really know that that's what you want to do, but it's like something that will bring a smile to your face. Do you think that that's something that you want to pursue, or is it something that you like will hold yourself back?
I would say career-wise, no, not at this stage in my life, but on a volunteer level, yes. Yes. Yeah. I would love to be able to give back to women, you know, or young adult women, you know, on a volunteer level.
Yeah.
But career-wise, no.
Yeah.
No.
And I feel like that's like stepping into your calling. Like, they always say, like, you know, especially being an entrepreneur, like, I'm doing something that I would kind of do for free, you know, and I feel like that's, you know, how you feel. Like, I've been in situations where I've braided for free, or I've done PR work for free. So I could definitely relate, you know, to you saying that. So, because nobody wants to be mentored or have something. So that we're gonna get deep. So
Look, let me take a swig. Look, I'm like, can I answer here real quick? No.
So in my book, we have a letter. It's a letter from my mom. She wrote a letter to me, and one second.
I'm trying to answer your sister. Sorry.
So the letter, basically, you know, she's just giving you guys a side of her, which pretty much shows you guys the foundation of me. And so my importance of doing that was because I touch on something so touchy and also deep to our family. You know, in my childhood, I've experienced sexual assault, and it was by the hands of my father. But I wanted to make it important for my mom, for my listeners and my readers to hear my mom's voice. And so I was super intentional about that. Outside of our personal relationship, I just wanted you guys to hear her voice and where she's coming from. And so I remember, Mom, we had a conversation. I forget what year or what age I was, but you were talking about, I think it was when I went to college, and you were like, I've been in a space of guilt for so long. Now I feel healed from that, because I've seen you through, like, and it was like a representation of, like, okay, at least regardless of that, I did my job as a mother. So, you know, they're gonna hear more of the story in the book, but I want them to hear from you, your voice, and we'll do more stuff, but I want them to hear from your voice, like, just what that moment was for you. Like, and you don't have to go in super detail, but just, you know, what was it?
The moment of when you were 13.
Yeah,
or
just
the
like
moment of once I realized that.
From there
okay.
to that.
I would say, to be very honest with you, it was almost like walking in the dark for years. To be very honest with you, I feel like I literally just woke up maybe about 10 years ago. Literally. It was almost like walking around like a zombie, because that part of my life, I felt like I kind of almost died at that moment. I feel like my life stopped at that moment, and I went back to just existing. You know what I mean? But now I'm just existing as a parent and as an adult. I'm no longer just existing as a teen, as a child, as a young adult. Now I'm existing as a parent and an adult. Yeah. Because see, now I'm in fight mode. Now I'm in focus mode, because I want to make sure that you are taken care of. You're well-rounded. You're healed. You have I'm there with you at every stage of your healing. Yeah. You know. So for me, I would say I kind of place my life on hold for a minute. Yeah. because I felt like it was my job and my responsibility to make sure that you got the necessary healing that you needed to flourish the rest of your life. And when I realized you had it, then it was like, okay.
Yeah. So
now I can pick my life back up and carry on.
Yeah. I mean, I never heard it like in that. I mean, we definitely talked about it, but like hearing it from that way, like, you know, it's like, it kind of it's like, not necessarily feel guilty, but it's like, as your daughter, like, I want to make sure that my mom feels like herself and is able to flourish and everything, you know? Yeah. And so I just wanted to make sure, like, it makes me feel like, dang, because this happened to me. It's like we both kind of felt
it happened to us.
Yeah, it's like it happened to us, and it's like, okay, me, I'm like, dang, if this didn't happen to me, my mom wouldn't have felt like this, or my mom wouldn't have, you wouldn't have felt like this.
And then I feel like if I would have never met him, you wouldn't have never had him as a father.
But then, if you would have never met him,
I wouldn't have
me. And then,
right.
But then what goes deep, and you guys will hear more in the book, but if it didn't happen to me, it would have still been happening to my sisters. You know, and
that's the heartbreaking part.
Right. And so it's like
it's almost kind of like I'm sure you have to get to a space of acceptance, of accepting that. Like, God, why did I have to be chosen?
Yeah.
Like, why did you need to use me?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm pretty sure you have to get to a place of accepting that role and that calling on your life.
Well, yeah, because I felt guilty. I felt like, I mean, the sister that I knew at the time, I knew didn't have her mother. I knew that this was the only parent that she had. I knew that she wanted to build that bond and everything. I didn't know that what he was doing to her, but I knew that at least. And so I didn't really know my other siblings like that, but I knew of some of them. And but I knew her, and I knew what she was dealing with. So for that moment to like be the one to for us to, you know, go through the trial and everything, it was like I felt guilty, like, dang, like, obviously I took him from me, but I also took him from someone else. And so I felt guilty for a lot of years. And then my freshman year of college, when I met Diamond, my other sister, and officially connected with my brother, and me and Diamond were having a conversation. She was telling me that it happened to her, and her sister, that's not even his child. It was like, oh, this goes deep. And everything that she went through with her mom and not having a voice. That's why chapter 1 is Stop the Silence. Because I did like stop the silence, because one sister was silent, another sister was silent, her sister was silent, and whoever, that's all for what we know. And you know, that made me feel better, because I'm like, okay,
it's almost like no one else had the strength to have the voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like no one else was strong enough to take on that role.
Yeah, but I have to credit, you know, you for that. Like, of course, God, because being in that moment was like just the strength, like physically and emotionally. But like, I credit you, because I remember, and this is why it's important for, you know, people with young children to have like conversations. I remember being super young and you telling me, like, I'm gonna cuss and say it, because this is, I'm gonna say exactly how you said it. I don't give a fuck who it is. You tell me who lays any type of hand on you, who touches you. This is this part, this is that part of your body. Like, and I think not only for girls, I think it's important for young boys too. But that always played when I, got up and ran to the bathroom and was in there, and I had my before, like, knowing that because you just said that and you were intentional about it, rather you were intentional about it, like you said it, that is the reason why we have new growth today, So pat yourself on the back for that and know that it's not your fault. And, we've had these conversations, so I hope you still know that it's not your fault. Right. And I know that this book is going to touch on this, and it's, it's like, ooh, like, because this is giving people, some people know, our story, but I feel like this is like stepping into a whole new arena. And I know it's scary, but having your letter in front of the book was important for those readers to know, like, nah, don't get it twisted. Like, and so I want to give you peace with that note, like, no matter what, because I am still editing the book, but no matter what is said in chapter 1, Stop the Silence, that at the end of the day, like, you are protected as a mother, as a woman, and none of it was your fault. And honestly, like, you birthed a vessel to stop something. Like, we are a team, like, we in this together, and we breaking all these chains, like, so, not saying hold it as, as with a torch and as a victory, but just, like, coming to that peace of, like, even though that was my dude at one point and we created something beautiful, like, take it as that. And y'all created something that stood up for something. And that only happened because of you.
Right. But I kind of feel like this whole process, your growth, your healing, honestly, I really feel like we've been healing together.
Yeah.
That this whole from 13 to now, I feel like we've been healing and on this journey together. So you haven't been by yourself. I'm thankful for that. We've been actually growing and healing together. Right. That's why we're able to have the open conversation. That's why we're able to talk about it openly, without any, negativity or any, bad feelings or anything like that, or anything that's hidden. We're open about it. We talk about it. We're here to assist, anyone that's been through it, and I think it's all because we've been healing together.
Right.
I've been healing on my end one day at a time. You've been healing on your end one day at a time. And so now we're able to come full circle.
Right.
And we're actually literally here sitting, doing a live.
Right.
Talking about your book that's going to be coming out.
Right.
That's a manifestation of what happened at 13.
Yeah. And
And you could have never told me that.
Right. No.
You could have never told me that we will be sitting here right now having this conversation. But openly like this.
That's what, going back to that list, that chart I was saying, like, being okay with the unknown and knowing that everything works for the greater good. And it's like, I didn't know, you didn't know, but the process, certain things had to happen in the process for us together to even get to this point.
Right.
Yeah. And I that's just to encourage everyone looking at the live that you may not know what's going to happen tomorrow or next month, but enjoy the process, be present, and know that you're going to be all right. And as long as you are collecting certain tools to apply in certain situations, that's all you can do. Like,
period. That's it. That's all you have.
Like, I had to let go of control, and I know that, and I mentioned it too in the book, that, like, when you have go through so much trauma, and that's not just sexual trauma, like, you went through trauma as far as having a mother on drugs, like, and going through survival mode. When you go through any type of trauma, it's like that moment strips you from feeling like you can have a grasp on life. Like, so everything else that you go throughout life, it's like you start to feel like you got to be a control freak. Like, you got to control the outcome, how everything goes in the moment. Like, but now being on the other side of it and being in peace, it's like, man, it feels good. Like, it feels good for me to not make plans sometimes. Like, I was the friend that was the planner. And so it was so liberating to be in the position of, like, we just going with the flow. We're going with the flow, and that's just how it's gonna go. So
5 minutes. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, so I'm so glad that we had this moment.
Me too.
And I'm glad you guys are tapped in. Let's see what y'all saying.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I am. I'm beyond. I'm just so proud of the woman that you have grown to be, the person, just everything.
Thank you. How are you feeling?
Beyond.
Like,
I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see where this book goes for you, because you never know who hands this book might get into.
that's the scary part.
You don't know where it's going. You don't know what this book is going to turn into. You don't know what type of exposures you're going to get from this book. You don't know who this book is going to help. You just really don't know.
Right.
It's almost like you and God had an assignment.
Mm-hmm.
You did your assignment and you said, okay, God, I'm going to just put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you do the work, God. You let me know what you want me to do. And you just put it out there. And now you just kind of working the plan, going through the motions.
Yeah. And it's really putting my money where my mouth is when it comes to that, because like we just mentioned, like, okay, not having control, being okay with the unknown, like, pouring into yourself, investing in yourself. My last chapter is called First Class, making luxury a priority. And so creating this book was not cheap, but it was an investment to do this. And so it's like that checks off that. It checks off
the investment to yourself, huh?
Yeah, but it was something I needed to do. And so the fear of unknown is, once the book is released, it's like you just said, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's beauty in that, because it's like, I know whatever comes back is gonna be all God, because what was put into it
was all God. And you put it in there. Now that chapter is closed. Now you let that be over there.
Yeah.
And now you just kind of work the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why when I first created and thought about the book, I specifically wrote, like, this is a story, highlights of story based on the past 15 years of my life. So I wanted to be super specific about that, because it's like, I'm going to be 30 February 1st. And it's like 30s is on another level. So it was like a duty to me to put this body of work out there before I make that next step, because I don't want to go into 30 with all this,
So it's like you used your 20s to properly heal, set yourself up career-wise.
Exactly.
So therefore, when you do step into motherhood, and when you do step into the next season of your career, those areas of your life won't be a hindrance,
right,
going into the next stage.
Yeah.
But they'll always be a part of you.
Right.
It's just that now those areas are a part of you through your book.
Right.
And so now you and God have an assignment to heal the next person that's going to pick up your book, that's going to heal that person. And now your journey, your healing is going to be through your book.
Exactly.
Helping someone else.
And it's out of my hands. It's out of my heart. I mean, obviously the assignment is still in my heart, but the words and the emotions and all of that is out of my hands. And it's out there. And it's just shows that the purpose is what the purpose is. And now I have a new purpose. But you can't step into your new purpose still creating and handling your old purpose.
Exactly. Because you had to take care of you first. You had to heal you first.
Right.
Before you could step into that.
Exactly.
But now you have an assignment on your life.
Yeah.
And your assignment now is you put the book out there, and now your assignment is to allow your book to help someone else heal.
Exactly.
So that's the assignment that God gave you.
Yeah.
Is once you heal, put all your healing and all your work, your journey inside this book.
Yeah.
And that's what you've done. And now you put it out there.
Yeah. And that's why journaling, you know, just as far as a takeaway, journaling is so important. Like, I've had stacks of journals throughout every apartment that I've lived in. Every place I live, I've had stacks of journals. And so journaling is a good tool to use when you just feel like you can't talk to anyone. Or, I mean, even if you can. But, you know, sometimes writing, physically writing, not just typing, but physically writing is therapeutic. So that is my takeaway. Before my phone dies and before the winery closes, what is the takeaway that you have?
The takeaway that I have is I don't know. I had to think about it. I have so many.
First to mind. New girl. Oh no, this is my last question, which will be a takeaway. What are you dreaming about these days?
What am I dreaming about? Girl.
I love that question because the reaction is like whatever you interpret that to be.
I am dreaming about being able to just be spontaneous. I can travel whenever I want to. I am dreaming about my time being my time.
Yeah. And you're about to be an empty nester, so that's all.
You know, and it's not even really about that. It's just really about my time being my time.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that for you. Like, I love
now I literally get to see me.
Yeah. And I love seeing you being flexible and fluid. And I mean flexible, like, just it's something about, like, you know, just relaxed shoulders and just like.
Yeah, because I've always been very rigid.
Yeah.
I've always been very